What is going on YouTube? Today I want to talk to you about how to make this massive 6-pointed star. My name's Andy, this is Cedar River Woodworking, and welcome to the shop. I live inside my own. Now if you've been around the shop for a while, you may have seen these 5-pointed stars that we put out last year. I recently had somebody reach out to me and ask me to make a 6-pointed star. So I made this star right here. This star is a very large star and it will push the capabilities of most of your tools in your shop. If you're up for the challenge, we can jump into that video. If you do not have a saw that goes up to 60 degrees, I do have some smaller stars like this one here. I will have a video for that one linked in the video description below. But if you want to make one of these very large stars, let's hop over to the miter station and I will show you exactly how we make these. So here we are over at our miter saw, and we do have our scrap pieces that came from our bench build. If you have not seen that video just yet, I will have that tagged up in a card up here in the corner. So the scrap pieces that we have from that are 1 by 4 inch pieces. That means that they are 3/4 of an inch thick and 3.5 inches wide. So we are going to make this star out of these pieces. There is about 36 inches left over from all of those slats that we cut on that build. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to set our saw to 60 degrees. If you do not have a saw that goes to 60 degrees, I will have a video for all saws that can go up to 30 degrees. And I will also have that pinned in the video description below. But anyways, if you are looking for a saw that goes up to 60 degrees, I will have saws like that are capable of 60 degrees down in the video description, along with all of the tools that I use in this video. So we've got a 60-degree angle here, and we need to cut this square end so that it is 60 degrees. So we will have a little wedge cut off of that. Now, how we need to do this is we need to make some triangles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the board that is there and I'm just going to flip it over and then slide it over into our stop block. Our stop block is set at 12 inches. So that is a measurement from the point here to the next point. So point to point, we are at 12 inches. And we are going to make triangles with this. I'm going to be holding this side of the board that is pinched against my stop block, so I can raise this saw up right away. Now, if you are not holding that stop block, you will want to make sure that the blade comes to a complete stop before you lift the blade. So this is what these triangles are going to look like. Now we are going to need 12 of these triangles here. Now in theory, we should be able to get 5 out of the boards that we have for scrap. Unfortunately, we have to deal with the saw blade kerf, which is 1/8 of an inch, which is going to cut into that 5th piece. So we are only to get 4 of these out of this. So out of those slats that we have left over, we're going to need 3 of those boards so that we can get all of these triangles. Now, if you are working with fresh stock, you need 2 8-foot 1x4s. So to make the rest of this cut, remember, I'm just gonna flip this board over and then slide it down into our stop block and then make that cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of these cuts here. Well, now that we have all of those triangles cut out, we are going to go over to our bench and get everything assembled. So laid out in front of me is our star, some glue, and some parchment paper. For our star, remember we have 12 of those triangles, and off camera I did bevel the edges on this just to give the star a little bit more depth when it is completely assembled. Now if you've seen my other star videos, you know that I like to use pocket hole screws for these, and you can use that for this as well. Except for that is a lot of pocket holes, so I'm going to glue this together as an alternative for the rest of my star builds. So you can use pocket holes on this, or you could use this glue method on any of the rest of the stars that I've built. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take some of these petals, or the little triangles, and I'm going to make them diamonds. And how I'm going to do that, and the reason why I have CA glue is so that I don't need to wait for this to completely dry. The CA glue is going to act as my clamp for this, and I do have some Star Bond CA glue, and I just have 3 little sections here as a gap, and then I will spray the other side in the corresponding locations. And this is going to act as my clamp instead of needing a clamp to get everything together. The parchment paper is going to help it so that I don't glue this star to the table. And after about 10 or 15 seconds, this thing will be a permanent bond. So the CA glue is going to dry fast, and then afterwards the glue is going to completely set up. Now this glue is going to squeeze out inside of these gaps a little bit, so I'm going to want to make sure that I scrape all of that completely out before it completely cures, because these can be a real bear to sand off once it is completely cured. So that is what that's going to look like. Just after a few seconds of it drying, it's going to be completely bonded together. So let's get the rest of the star completely assembled. Now remember, I will have links to everything that I'm using in the video description below. So you can find this tight bond or this star bond wherever you would like. Now just make sure that these corners are all completely lined up before you squish everything together. So here is another piece. I'm just going to go ahead and go around this star off camera, and once I get all this completely assembled together, I will talk to you about how you can make money off of this star. So I will see you guys in about 5.5 seconds. All right, well, we have our star completely made up, but I have a confession to make. Not all YouTubers are perfect. See that big gap here? That has a result of not all of these points are completely lined up with each other. So because there are so many angles that compound on this thing, if you're not absolutely perfect, it will cause some issues. So one of the things that we can do, if you have not seen the video of my 30-degree star, check that out. I will have it pinned right here. You could take one of these 30-degree stars and place it over top of it. Now that is going to mask some of these transitions. So if you have some that aren't perfect, you can have this starception kind of thing going on here. It is also one of the reasons why I like using pocket holes for the joinery on this instead of only glue, because this glue method is a lot more unforgivable than those pocket holes. The pocket holes you can kind of adjust around a little bit, and you can kind of hide the gapping if you need it. Now, if you have gapping like this and your centers are perfect, check out my video about how to tune in your miter saw. That may be what's going on. You might have it set to 60 degrees or 30 degrees or 45 degrees, and it's not exactly that. And all of these angles will compound on top of each other. So I said that I was going to talk to you a little bit about pricing on these. These little guys are made out of 1x4s, just like this bigger star here, but this little star is only about 14 inches in diameter from point to point here. And this big star is about 24 inches. So I would say that you can charge a lot more for this. And if you layer a small star on top of this big star here, you can get a lot more money out of it. So these small stars, I try to sell them around $20 to $25. A bigger star here, you could do probably about $40. And if you layered the two of them on top of each other, I could see $50 to $60 easily for this type of decoration. Now, these builds don't take very long to do, so you can batch them out, and I would highly recommend doing that. Now, this star here, I'm probably going to put one of these on top of it, along with put some pocket holes behind this gap here, so I can try and draw that together. Now, unfortunately, we are glued together like this, so I might end up breaking this star, so be careful about your assembly process. So if you've made it this far, would you stain this? Would you paint it? What would you do, and what colors would you use? I don't know, the options are endless, and you can make some pretty good money out of stars like these during your holiday season. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed yet and you are liking the content, please consider subscribing. Anyways, for now, my name is Andy. This has been Cedar River Woodworking, and we'll see you in the next video.